are back with episode 18 of Ico Pod. I'm Bob Colleen Jr., and with me, as always, my partner in crime, my brother till the end, the Hogan to my Macho, the Brett to my Owen. It's Austin Skinner.
And I'm Bob Colleen Jr., and welcome to Ico Pod.
Fuck you, come on. You never do anything right.
No, I'm the Owen, and I'm the Macho Man.
No, I want to be Macho Man.
Well, then I'm Owen, then.
I want to be Owen.
Well, you're a Nugget, but you're not Owen Hart.
Oh, okay, I'll let that one slide.
So,
as per usual, we're here to do a podcast about the WWF starting in 1993, and we've made it all the way now to May.
Great.
So excited.
Yeah.
We've made it 4 months.
It's half a baby.
It's a weird way of looking at it, but yeah, that's true. We got a little Lightning Kid in there.
That's right.
Can't wait till he comes out like a Friar Ferguson.
Oh, you had to bring him
sorry,
out.
Too soon. I shouldn't have
Had
done
to bring him
that.
out.
That was inappropriate. As always, you can check us out on Facebook at IcoPod, or you can send us an email at icopodcast@gmail.com. If you have any comments or anything like that, we'll share them on the air.
Send us some emails.
To be honest with you, I totally forgot to even look to see if what people say. I know Mike Campbell said something.
He was like, yeah, Bob sucks.
I think so. I think he was like, oh, Bobby Heenan has a nice suit or nice jacket.
Well, he does have a nice jacket.
For the Giant Gonzalez episode when he was
it was a wrestling challenge. It was like a red one.
Oh, it's All American.
All American Wrestling.
Yeah, that's what it says on the back.
It is a nice jacket.
Yeah, and then I think Johnny B. Smith or something like that?
I think so.
From England.
Yeah.
He's always looking forward to the show, stuff like that. So I probably really should maybe look into see if people are even responding to us.
Way to promote it and then basically say
not follow up.
Yeah, we don't give a fuck about that.
Yeah. This is our show.
Shout out to them guys. Thanks for
and Michael Vincent. He's always
yeah.
listening.
Thanks for tuning in as we travel the roads up and down in 1993. An easier time. Not necessarily a cooler time.
Back when Raw was only 45 minutes.
Thank God.
Well, an hour, but with the commercials, 45 minutes. But today, boy, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Sure, you gotta love it.
Yeah, as soon as we hit IcoPod hits about, I would say 2003, I'm done.
So like 2003, in terms of how we're progressing with this, I'm going to be 39 years old.
Yeah, what's wrong with that? A seasoned chicken.
Jesus Christ. Honey, no, I can't do it tonight. I got an IcoPod.
It's Tuesday.
We've been doing it for 10 years.
Yeah.
Honey, you're not 29 anymore. I don't fucking care.
There's no what if. It's happening. We'll see
our son has karate. Oh, fuck that kid. Okay.
Yeah, well, I have wrestling, baby.
That was your decision to have kids.
Right.
I mean, I never wanted that.
Yeah, let's set the record straight. 10 years from now, Bob, tell your wife to shut up. You got a job to do.
If she'll probably sound like Luna Vachon. You never pay attention to me. Fuck.
Oh, shit.
And I'll get my mistress, Sherry Martel.
Yes.
Boobs hanging out.
Yes.
They'll beat each other up.
Yes.
Yeah. It'd be great.
It would be great.
You can't go wrong.
Right.
Before we get into the May 3rd edition of Raw, we have quite a bit of stuff going on before we even get to there. So the house shows for the first weekend after WrestleMania 9 in the United States are down. Like kind of a little bit down. There's a house show in Long Island that only did 8,400.
Wow.
So that's in terms of attendance.
Yeah, that's New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's not very good. That's about 2,000 less than what Taker and Yokozuna were doing prior to WrestleMania.
Okay.
Apparently on the A-Loop, Luger and Ramon brawl after Luger accidentally forearms Razor during Luger's match with Bret Hart. Like Razor Ramon's holding Bret, and then Luger misses Bret and hits Razor on accident.
Okay.
This is likely leading to a face turn for Razor Ramon.
Oh, for sure.
Seems like the obvious direction to go.
Yes.
The Smoking Guns are already on the house shows, and they are replacing the Nasty Boys in matches against the Head Shrinkers.
Yes.
They are having some really good matches, it's being reported, and that the Nasty Boys will be gone for about a month.
I wish it was longer.
Yeah, I don't know why the Nasty Boys are gone for a month.
Yeah.
There's no details on that one. Speaking of Lex Luger, he has done a clean job. His first loss, aside from to Mr. Perfect, his first loss in the States, and he did it. He did the job for Tatanka on the May 3rd house show in Hartford, Connecticut. They did the double pin finish where Tatanka got his shoulder up first, like on a back suplex type of gimmick there, where he pops it up first. So that's Luger's first clean loss in the States.
Wow.
Hogan will be teaming with Brutus Beefcake leading up to the King of the Ring, and they'll be taking on Money Incorporated on the house shows. And then after King of the Ring, he will be working single matches with Yokozuna. I don't mind either one of those, to be honest with you.
I don't want them to tag anymore. I want Brutus Beefcake to get written off. Fucking stop using him.
They're not even mentioning him on TV anymore.
Well, that's why. Just have Hogan move right into the Yokozuna thing.
Yeah, I don't understand why Beefcake is even sticking around at this point.
Right.
The Steiner brothers also did their first job.
Wow.
To the WWF Tag Team Champions Money Incorporated, also on the May 3rd house show in Hartford, Connecticut, as IRS hit Scott Steiner with a briefcase. This is setting up a match between the two teams with Sergeant Slaughter as the special referee.
I wonder if this was a test show for them, that May 3rd,
I would have to think it is.
It's going to be like a test and see how it goes.
I'm inclined to think maybe Luger and Tatanka are going to be working a program here soon.
Yeah, well,
after
something like that, yeah.
Kind of surprised Steiners are doing a job for Money
Me
Incorporated.
too.
But the dirty finish there, I guess, kind of.
Well, yeah.
I wouldn't anticipate they even mention it on TV or anything.
Oh, probably not. Yeah.
And then last week's Raw did a pretty good 3.2 rating.
Wow.
As you recall, that featured Lex Luger and Crush in the feature match. Shawn Michaels, The Proposal.
Yeah.
All that stuff. So.
I gotta be honest. I'm surprised it was that many more points ahead of the last round of Raws.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe Luger and Crush are big draws.
It could be.
Or maybe maybe people were talking about, people are getting married on Raw.
Right. Could be.
This week I do have house show notes, as last week I didn't because of the England tour. And I'm focusing not on the May 3rd show.
Okay.
But so this is going to be two different, because they're pretty much the same rundown anyway. But
right.
They took place on May 1st. There's a show in Rochester, New York, and it features Owen Hart taking on Terry Taylor. Now, Chris Owen Hart killed himself with a knee.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised he's still working. Crush taking on Doink the Clown. Mr. Hughes against Virgil. The Undertaker battled Giant Gonzalez. Tatanka took on Terry Taylor again, who was a substitute for Razor Ramon. Don't know why. Papa Shango battled Typhoon. And then the Steiner brothers battled the WWF Tag Team Champions, Money Incorporated.
Seems like a pretty stacked show. I mean, other than...
You really think that's a stacked show?
Well, other than, Virgil, Terry Taylor getting used twice.
I don't know why fucking Terry Taylor's on there twice.
Typhoon. You got to think. All right, so you got Crush and Doink, which is considered a thing. The newly re-debut or the debut, whatever, blah, 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 of Mr. Hughes. Undertaker Gonzalez still has heat. Rick and Scott with the champions. I'd say that's a pretty stacked show for a house show.
Yeah, I think I disagree with you. The only one that really draws to me is the Steiners and Money Inc. At this point, I mean, I don't really want to see Crush and Doink again.
Oh, me neither.
So, to me, this is a one match card.
I don't know if I you know what? I'd probably not buy a ticket to that, even though.
You just said it was a stacked show.
Yeah, but for fans at the time, looking back at it, I wouldn't have gone. But for fans at the time, I think that's a pretty stacked show.
No way.
I don't know.
I can't believe that.
I don't know.
I wonder if anybody out there would go. I don't think I'd go to that show.
I'd go to see Owen Hart.
In 1990, if you were a kid in 93, you'd be like, oh, I'm going to go check out Owen Hart.
No, if it was me right now, I'd drive by and say, oh, Owen Hart's
that's what I'm saying.
there.
But even as a kid, though, I don't think I would want to.
Yeah, maybe not.
Any version of myself. Not. Also, that same day, the WWF was in Long Island, New York. This is the show that drew 8,400, so maybe we can compare and see if we would go be part of that 8,400. The Brooklyn Brawler took on Jim Powers. Bob Backlund battled Blake Beverly. The Head Shrinkers squared off against the Smoking Guns. Yokozuna took on Jim Duggan. WWF Intercontinental Champion Shawn Michaels defended against Mr. Perfect. Bam Bam Bigelow and Kamala squared off in singles action. And in the main event, Bret Hart took on Lex Luger.
So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of the 7 matches I'm interested in.
Yeah, I'm going to that show. The
Yes.
first 2 matches I wouldn't go to, and then Head Shrinkers onwards, I'm checking it out.
Yeah, so I'd buy a ticket. I'd buy a general admission ticket. Hang out, buy some snacks, go to the merch booth. And then by the 3rd match, I'd go find my seat and watch the rest of the show.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I don't think you're missing any much with Brawler Powers or Backlund and Beverly.
No.
So, and apparently, Head Shrinkers and Smoking Guns are getting some pretty good reviews. So
I bet you those are damn good matches.
I would have to think so.
Well, and you know what? For both of these house shows, I feel like usually it's very lopsided. I feel like both of these shows are decent. Pretty good.
Well,
Again, I know you don't like the first one.
Yeah, I'm more of the Long Island one here.
But compared to some of the pairings we've seen in the past, it's pretty obvious that maybe they're trying to step it up a little bit with the house show stuff. I don't know. I just feel like, again, in the past, there's been house shows where it's like, who bought a ticket to that? Why?
Yeah. That might be a situation where it's, the WWF's in town, let's go see it.
Literally, and that's it. Yeah, literally.
Going into some syndication news here, is announced on the May 1st edition of Superstars that WWF World Champion Hulk Hogan will be defending the title against Yokozuna, and that Bret Hart had earned a first-round bye in the King of the Ring tournament. So he's like the number 1 seed, I guess.
Right.
Which would make sense. He's the former world champion.
Sure.
Really shouldn't have to qualify for it. Speaking of qualifier matches, we have Mr. Perfect. He took on Doink the Clown in a qualifying match on Superstars, and we have both watched it.
Oh, we did. We sure did.
What does that mean?
Well, I'm going to tell you what it means, Bob, because here I am. Why did you do this to me?
Why? It's not that bad.
All right, so here I was. It was literally around 11 o'clock at night.
We don't need to tell this.
Oh, yeah, we're talking about it. It was about 11 o'clock at night. Bob messaged me on that thing they call Facebook.
Right.
And he
says, to be honest with you, I think I was hacked by a Russian person, which is why
I was rushing to get this shit done.
Mark Zuckerberg there, that's why he was on that trial. So.
Bastard. All right, so, yes, paint the picture here. It's about 11...
It was 11:11
p.m.
I was making a wish, hoping you would reply. You didn't. Ruined my wish. I sent you 2 matches to watch. A grand total of like 10 minutes.
No. It was roughly 50.
Bullshit. In terms of actual action,
it was like 7 and 6. So 14 minutes.
Yeah, but that's including the entrances and all that bullshit. If you look at just action, it's like 10 minutes.
Yeah, but 15 minutes takes me 45.
It takes you 4 hours.
So, mind you, my alarm was set for 5:20 a.m.
That's not my fault.
Okay. So here comes the little Bob messaging me on fucking Facebook. Hey, watch these. And I was like, you son of a bitch, you did it again. You last minute Charlie the fuck out of me again.
Listen, okay. So these shows, I prefer to do them the night before, just so that it stays fresh in my mind. And in hindsight, I can see how doing the research part that same night isn't a great idea.
No.
Right. I can see that now. Am I going to necessarily change my ways?
Probably not.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Doubtful.
Probably not. With that said, I kept my notes relatively short on these matches because, again, they're qualifying matches. They're only a couple minutes long each.
And I only sent these because I figured it would make sense because we're going to be watching the tournament. So.
And the whole thing is, I wanted to watch these matches because I wanted to watch them and more or less absorb and see kind of how they went, not necessarily dissecting them. So that was kind of my mindset going into these and probably will be going forward. So yeah, let's start right off with Doink and Perfect.
All right. Well, Doink wastes no time as he attacks Perfect on the floor during his entrance as he was hiding on the side of the ring. But it was kind of weird because I feel like the way that it was described is that if Perfect's walking down the aisle, it's on the side right to the left. So you would probably see the clown.
Running at you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would think, but he's on the right-hand side. I guess his back was kind of turned to him, so maybe he didn't see that part. But as you're walking down, if he's just chilling there, notice an evil clown just waiting to pounce on you.
Another weird thing too is with Doink's mask and like wig, the whole time
his face paint.
His real head of hair was sticking out of the back, and I didn't think it looked good at all. Like it kind of ruined the illusion of Doink a little bit, because you want to think.
Are you trying to think he's an actual clown?
Well, yeah,
it's a guy.
Well,
I think come on.
I don't know. I didn't like the hair sticking out of the back of the mask. Like his whole back of his head was out of the back of the mask.
I'm trying to think of what would be like another character that I could see that like kind of killing the illusion or something.
So all right, think of this. So it's Kane, right? You got Kane, and he's got like the blonde black hair connected to the mask. And let's say the mask was slipping off a little bit, and it was like blonde hair.
Well,
like
I was thinking like more
hair.
of the '93 era, but you're right with that for sure.
Like
Because he's got the wig and everything. So if you're like, you got readjusting, you see like other hair. It's like what?
Yeah.
What is this guy? Doesn't that kind of happen though? Because it's obviously a wig.
Yes.
For him back in that
time.
for
sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
All right.
But yeah. So also kind of sprinkled it out. Not to cut you off a little bit, but kind of sprinkled it out. I noticed Perfect was using some dirty moves.
He's a fucking heel, man. I'm telling you.
I know, and I think he knows that.
So he's sprinkling. It's weird that he's a heel that people like.
Yes.
Kind of like Razor Ramon and stuff like that.
And it even gets to a point where Doink's like begging off, and he's like, just shake my hand, and like Perfect slaps it away and keeps beating his ass.
That's the Perfect
like,
that's
mercy.
a Perfect that I like.
Yeah, no mercy.
He's been showing a lot better fire.
Yes.
In the last couple of matches here.
Yes.
So back to the match where after Doink sends him into the ring steps face first, and then Doink works over Perfect but misses a knee drop. And then Perfect works over the left knee of Doink, and then Perfect chops Doink over the top to the floor. And I just want to mention again that they are not ever working over the right hand part of the body.
I know.
Which I'm like,
I know.
Where I'm purposely focusing on that part to see if they ever work the right part of the body, the right side of the body, and they have yet to do so.
Well,
I never noticed that before you mentioned it.
Well.
Perfect rams Doink's face first onto the ring steps as a level of revenge from earlier, and then Perfect yanks on the left leg of Doink and delivers a falling headbutt to the lower midsection, and we go to commercial with Doink on the floor. We come back from commercial, and we're told that Doink had just sent Perfect into the ring post, as Perfect is also laying on the floor at this point. Doink comes off the top to deliver a double axe handle to the floor, I believe. We are going to hear from Crush, like an insert at this point, but it's Doink. It gives us the illusion of there's two Doinks, and Vince McMahon's is like, what? How can he be here and there?
That's not right.
Yeah, and then I just think to myself, it's a pre-tape.
Oh my god,
it's
so
you
obvious.
Set that stuff up, guys. Like, what are we doing?
So obvious.
Doink splashes down onto Perfect's back, and then Perfect fights back with a right hand, only for Doink to come back with a snap suplex. Perfect struggles to his feet as Doink delivers another top rope double axe handle. Perfect ducks a clothesline and hammers away on Doink a few more times, and then Perfect nearly wins with an inside cradle. Perfect goes for a backslide, but Doink kicks out at 2. Perfect also almost wins with another roll up, as Doink looked like he was struggling to kick out on that. So that could have been like almost a shoot finish there if they didn't just stop the count at 2. Perfect hits a back suplex for another near fall, and then Perfect counters with a backdrop. Let me try that again. Perfect counters a backdrop attempt with the Perfect Plex, but before he can even hit the move, the bell is rung, and the match has ended in a time limit draw. Now, the reasoning here would be a 10-minute time limit. That's, I guess the normal time limit draw. They don't come close to 10 minutes. I think it's like 8.5.
Yeah.
So, I can understand if you go like 9:50, even 9:45. They go almost 2 minutes under the allowed time limit draw for what's shown. That's just stupid.
Yeah. So what I have here at the top of the program, I introduced myself as Bob Cowling Jr. I was using the illusion.
There's two of me.
That's why. So this is where this kicks in. I think the illusion stuff with Doink works on a house show level. Let's leave it at that. Like, why is that turning into his character? I don't know. I don't like it. With that said, kind of with that in your mind, I thought this was the best Doink match we've seen. Or that I've seen up until this point. I thought the action was pretty decent. I thought that Even though I didn't necessarily like that they didn't go like the 10 minutes like they should have. The finish made sense to me. There was a lot of near falls. It looked like a contest that, hey, I really want to get into the King of the Ring tournament, even if I'm Doink a crazy clown. So I liked that part of it. I was surprised how much I enjoyed the match, to be honest with you. Especially for a short match like that. I would have been okay with a 12-minute match over an 8-minute match. I don't know, Bob. What did you think?
I enjoyed it. I think you're right that it's probably the best Doink match we've gotten because it's really kind of the first time Doink has had somebody maybe on the same level as him.
Right, like a legit wrestler.
Yeah. I mean, Crush is just a power guy. Typhoon is a fat piece of slob, so he's not really going to do much for you. So this was a pleasant surprise for me. And even more so probably from Perfect, too. I mean, Perfect's performance here was pretty nicely done.
I know.
So it's giving me some hope that maybe as we continue on this journey here, that Perfect maybe has gotten a second wind.
Yes.
You know, he's not just milking it and coasting.
Yes.
So, no, I thought this was a pretty good qualifying match, and the time limit draw here, you know, kind of, I don't know. I mean, I would assume that this is not going to be the last time we see these two guys compete.
No, and again, for who it is, with it being Doink and being Perfect, I thought it made sense. I really wanted Doink to win clean.
Doink hasn't lost a match, right? On TV?
Not that I know of.
So he's also undefeated.
Yeah.
So that kind of maybe explains why they did time limit draw.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But again, why it went 8 and not the full 10, I don't know.
How many guys on TV right now are undefeated? Tatanka, Luger, on TV wise.
Yes, Tatanka, Luger, Doink.
Gonzalez, technically.
Gonzalez.
He hasn't been pinned.
Yep.
That's four guys right now? At least 4. Yoko lost to Hogan. But I don't even know if I'd really count that.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't an official match, technically.
Right.
There's no bell.
Right.
So maybe asterisk mark here, Yokozuna.
Yeah.
That's 5.
No, there is. It's definitely a lot.
Steiners haven't lost on TV yet.
On TV, no.
That's 6.
Yep. I feel like there's definitely more. For sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Has Undertaker lost on TV?
Yeah.
In 93?
Well, I mean...
Let's say 93.
Well, in 93, no. But I'm saying just in careers in general. Like
you're
recent
saying
guys.
everything? Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, Taker lost in like 91 to
Oh,
Hogan,
of course. Yeah,
like that,
okay.
I'm trying to think right now. This guy, I feel like there's probably a big name that we're
Has Bam Bam?
Has Crush? Yeah, to Doink. Right.
On TV, yeah.
Yeah, at WrestleMania.
His Crush,
Crush lost to Doink. And then Jim Duggan. Has he been pinned?
Crush just got counted out too last week.
Right.
I don't know if he's been pinned.
Who?
Crush.
To Doink.
Oh, on Raw.
At WrestleMania.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah, it's TV.
Yeah, that's TV.
Jim Duggan, though, I don't think has been pinned. Since, like,
well, no, because
1980, like 1989.
Well, even on Superstars, it was Body Slam Challenge or whatever the hell.
Yeah, knock him off his feet.
Yeah, knock him off his feet or whatever.
He won that, technically.
Yeah.
So Duggan, I guess, is kind of undefeated, too.
Good
for when he shows up.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
That's like, I just thought about that right now. Razor lost to Brett.
It's like a cheap booking. Like, oh, how do we get this guy
so
over?
Many
Don't
guys.
make him lose.
Yeah.
You know? What?
Let's have 7 guys not lose a match for 4 months. At least 4 months.
I don't know.
Bam Bam. He hasn't been pinned. Bam Bam Bigelow.
Wait, didn't we just talk about him?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah. We were talking about Crush.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
okay. Yep.
Bam Bam hasn't been pinned yet.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm pretty sure.
Boss Man, he has all squash matches. In the March to WrestleMania, he lost by count out because he bailed on Taker.
Yeah. And who did he fight last week?
He didn't fight anybody. Bam Bam?
Oh, no. He attacked Tatanka. That's right.
Yeah, that's setting up that feud.
Yep.
That's 8 dudes at roughly.
Yeah.
7 or 8 guys.
Yeah.
Even Backlund, since he's came back. Has he lost? Oh, he lost to Razor.
He did.
WrestleMania.
And on Raw, too, didn't he?
No, I don't think he's lost on Raw.
Who did Razor fight on Raw? Not too long ago.
Virgil.
When they were in Poughkeepsie?
Yeah.
It was Virgil?
Yeah, they went like 6 minutes or something like that.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah,
and Mr. Hughes, technically.
Yeah, now.
That's
Yeah.
not either.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Okay. Speaking of Mr. Hughes, he has a few managers courting him as they want to be his manager. And a couple of those guys include Slick and Harvey Whippleman. Slick's reasoning is that he wants to change Mr. Hughes' ways.
Oh, God. No comment.
Just let it go, Slick.
I think Slick's horrible.
I don't think I've ever been really a fan of Slick.
Yeah, I think he's horrible.
We have our second qualifying match for the King of the Ring, and it will be Lex Luger taking on Bob Backlund, and this aired on the May 2nd edition of Wrestling Challenge.
So here's what I got to open this one up.
I already saw your fucking note.
Fuck you, Bob.
Come on.
I bet you watched this one buck naked.
What?
At this point, it was 12:25 a.m.
Wait a minute. Whoa. Go back. You're telling me that you started watching this at like 11:22, and for a 7-minute match, it took you almost an hour to watch that?
No, so I watched the first qualifying, then I did the second, so this week's episode Raw. And then I went back and did the other video.
Okay.
But still, I saw Luger versus Backlund for 7 minutes, and I just thought, Bob must not want
This
me...
match does not go 7 minutes.
Well, the video.
The video is like 7 minutes.
All right, so
yeah.
I'm sorry, the video.
The match is like 3.
So I saw a 7-minute video of Bob Backlund and Lex Luger, and I was like, Bob must want me to quit.
You love it.
He wants me to quit.
Fine. You know what? Here, you guys be the judge if this sounds like a bad match. These are available on YouTube, by the way. So if you type them in,
that's where
you
we
can
watched
find
them.
them on
Yes.
there, and you can check them out. I probably should have mentioned that before I did the first one, but oh fucking well. Backlund goes for a quick roll-up, a backslide, and an inside cradle early on here for all of them getting 2 counts. And then Backlund trips Luger off his feet a couple of times, and then gets a sunset flip for a near fall. This has Luger bailing through the floor, and he walks up the aisleway, and guess what he says? What's that? What's that? What's going on?
So, all right, so really quick, Backlund got a fucking explosion of a reaction.
Did he? I feel like
explosion.
I didn't really pick up on that.
Oh, he did. He did. But when Luger, so coming to meet you where you were at just now, Luger bails out and he goes, "The fuck?"
He said, "I didn't see it."
The fuck? What was that? What was that? He's like going nuts. And it was hilarious. Like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't even know what just happened.
He does. He hasn't been around amateur wrestling for a few years.
It was. I literally was laughing. Yeah. I did go back and rewind that and watch it because it was hilarious. Yeah. He literally, the first thing because he kind of, when he rolls out, the camera isn't necessarily on his face. His face is like in turning.
Yeah.
And you can see him say like the fuck, and he's just so frustrated. He's like, "What was that? What is that?" Like he's like, "You just got fucking beat up."
By a 43-year-old man.
It was so good.
Backlund has Luger in the corner, but Luger's able to get control with a back elbow. And then Luger rams Backlund face first into the top turnbuckle, I believe a couple of times. Luger scoop slams Backlund and taunts the fans. And by taunting the fans, I mean just staring at them. He doesn't actually say like, "Oh, look at your guy."
No, right.
He just literally stares at them and says nothing. Backlund hip tosses Luger and then follows up with a scoop slam of his own. Bob drop kicks Luger and delivers an atomic drop. Backlund goes for his bridging suplex, a bridging pin, like a roll up, which he's won, I think, all of his matches that way. So the fans are kind of being programmed to think as soon as he gets on, like, it works. And I think the crowd was like, "Oh shit, he's about to win." But Luger is, a roided up 270-pound guy. So he uses his legs to just kick Backlund through the middle rope to the floor. Bob struggles to his feet, gets to the apron. And then Luger, kind of sensing like a deer in headlights with poor Mr. Backlund, like licks his lips there, and then just runs and just delivers a running forearm strike, and then the Backlund falls off the apron. I immediately took that as Backlund's probably knocked out, and it is. So he wins by countout. So Luger qualifies for the King of the Ring.
All right, so here's my notes on it.
Give it to me.
I thought Backlund made Luger look pretty good. As if Luger knew what he was doing in the ring, which is saying something. Although, with that said, they definitely stuck to basics here. But the crowd was totally into the match.
They were definitely sold.
Huge.
On the bridge pin attempt there, they legit thought, "Oh my God." Yes. And when he kicked out, they're like, "Oh, fuck."
Yes. And you know what? It always blows my mind to see how different these weekend crowds are compared to the Raw ones.
You know, it gives me a better appreciation for the crowds on the syndicated shows.
Yeah, because it's like a totally different company. It's like, where
Yeah.
did these fans come
It
from?
makes the WWF feel like a bigger deal.
Yes.
Not to say that the Raw crowd makes them look minor league or anything, but it's refreshing to go and watch these matches in front of 6,000 to 7,000 people.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't even feel bad with you saying that because it kind of does. It does feel like, you know, not as big time as WWF should feel. And I get it that they're trying to go with like a studio feel, and that's fine. But at the same time, wrestling needs thousands of fans in the arena to get it over.
I agree with that. And I was watching, I feel like I've mentioned this a couple times, but I was watching a Smoky Mountain Wrestling show the other day, and they were showing like a highlight video of Billy Jack Haynes from USWA. So the highlight video is him competing in USWA, which is a studio show format.
Right.
Similar, I mean, I guess Smoky Mountain Wrestling, their TV was like in a high school gym, kind of like a studio thing too.
Right.
But USWA is like 100% a studio looking show.
Right.
And just from like the music video thing, it looks like there's 20 people.
Exactly.
You know, and that to me is,
Exactly.
it comes across like a public access television show.
Yes.
Not
Yes.
saying that Raw at all comes across like a public access television show, but you would certainly not think, oh, hey, they're getting 15,000 people at Madison Square Garden type of thing.
Yeah, you're not getting the proper reactions that one would come to expect watching WWF.
Yeah, I mean, it's heavily the crowds in the New York ones, the New York Raws,
Yes.
are like hardcore fans.
Right.
So they're going to be all on the heel, like a Doink the Clown. They're going to be like, oh, we love Matt Bourne or whatever
Yeah,
the
but
case
I don't.
is.
That hurts the product.
I agree.
You know.
No, I agree. Because you want the 7,000 people who hate him.
Yes.
You know, they would drown out the
Yes.
1,200 or whatever. They're like, yeah,
Yes.
Doink. You know, it's going to be
Yes.
like, boo, you fucking, we hate you, clown guy.
Yes. Yes.
So I totally get that. As for this Luger Backlund match, I would say it was a lot better than most Backlund matches that I've seen. I mean, this is like a 3.5 minute match, but they really held my interest.
Well, I'll tell you what. I didn't like the finish. I feel like they could have been a little bit more creative with that.
I don't know why they're protecting Backlund.
Exactly.
I feel like Luger should be able to
Easy.
do the forearm
Yeah,
and win.
and just be done.
And then,
Right.
yeah, move on.
With that said, again, the match flew by.
Yeah.
This 7-minute video flew by. Again, I don't really understand the pairing for this qualifying match. I feel like they kind of painted themselves in a corner here. I mean, there's not much you're going to get out of a Luger Backlund. I think what we got was probably the best you could get. Keeping it short, knowing the strengths, and just playing to them. Again, I was pleasantly surprised that I wasn't, like, by the end of it, cursing you out. And I wasn't. So that's...
Well, you started off saying, fuck you, but by the end you're probably like,
I
"Yeah."
started out like, no, I do not want to watch this. After the video, helped Luger's character. Backlund, again, made Luger look pretty good. It was a plus.
Yeah, so needless to say, I guess the first two qualifying matches are not bad.
Worth watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever watched, like, I guess the whole tournament
Right.
for the King of the Ring before.
Right.
The 93 one, at least.
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
haven't seen how it plays off from qualifying matches onward. So
Yeah.
that's a pretty good start and has me, I would say, interested to see how it advances going forward.
And I like that each guy is taking it serious. Like, I really want to be in this tournament.
Yeah, but,
You know?
I mean, there's no... Like, what does the winner get, though? There's nothing has been cemented with that.
Right. There's
they
no
don't know what
end
they're fighting
game.
for.
Yeah, but, you know, more or less that they're even putting it over as big as they are without knowing that impresses me. You know?
Yeah. From there, we are going to go to the May 3rd edition of Monday Night Raw in 1993, of course, and it's a taped program this week, so it's the same crowd from last week, and I don't believe they even make any reference to the couple, right?
No.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird that they would just maybe skip over that.
Yeah.
And we are still obviously in Manhattan, New York, at the Manhattan Center. And the program starts off with WWF Intercontinental Champion Shawn Michaels making his entrance for his title defense against Jim Duggan. And we go to the announcer's table where they promote the match. Savage picks Duggan to win the match, while Bobby Heenan reminds us that Michaels doesn't have to beat Jim Duggan. And there's like some confusion or something. Like McMahon's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, so I was right off the bat surprised that these guys weren't going to be main eventing the show. They're opening it. So I was like, okay.
Yeah, the main point of why we're tuning in.
Yeah.
So, let's say if it goes 15 minutes, after 15 to 20 minutes of the show, you're just like, why the fuck am I tuning in?
Exactly. Yeah. Shawn, I have to note, was in the same gear as last week, of course, because, again, this is a tape show. So the camera's thrown down to ringside, like you said. Savage just kept saying, who?
Yeah.
Vince and Bobby are bickering about how Duggan may come away with the title here tonight. It was basically like a little bit of chaos, and then we got into the Raw opening video.
Right.
And this is how I like Raw to start out. No stalling, nothing flashy. They set the table, they get you into the opening video, and then we go from there.
So you like an introduction in the arena, then to the opening video, and then back to the arena?
I like an entrance, a brief, keep it short introduction from the commentators, really ramping up the pace. Hit me with the opening video, and let's get back to the match. I think this is how I would open up Raw every week.
I think just like this. I don't mind the opening video, and then we get into the arena, and then they give us the show.
No,
Instead of promoting the show, then 30 seconds of an opening video package thing, and then back to the arena.
I just thought so when you read like the TV guide or like what's the info on this show, instead of having to read it, they're showing you it. Here's the opening. I don't know. I liked that format of it. If it was me, I'd open Raw like that every.
Well, I mean, I don't have a preference per se, but
yeah, but they've done some silly stuff.
Yeah, I don't like when they do like the SNL stuff,
or like the black, portrait style promos.
Yes,
or, stupid stuff like that.
I'm not really a fan of that in comparison to this one.
Right. Or like even standalone backstage promos to open Raw. I personally don't like. Yeah,
is that what happened with like Money Incorporated?
Yeah, Money Inc. did it. Yeah. So I think for me this is the ideal way. Keep the pace quick. Open up Raw. Here's what you're going to be seeing to start off. Get ready. Here it comes.
Yeah, I guess I like I just mentioned, I don't like the promos, I guess, before the show, but I don't think any of the openings would necessarily make me tune out.
No.
I don't. No. If I were to see the Beverly Brothers in Money Incorporated doing like a portrait thing, I don't think I'd be like, fuck that.
Well, I don't know.
Depending on how much of a hardcore fan I am. If I'm like a casual fan, like, what the hell is... okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. So we go back to the arena. We're going right into our first match. The first match of the evening is the WWF Intercontinental Champion Shawn Michaels defending against Jim Duggan. The crowd, I guess as you would expect, is heavily behind Jim Duggan. The crowd's giving him a really good reaction.
Yeah, huge.
Duggan quiets the fans down. And I'm thinking, okay, you might cut a promo or something. He quiets it down and then just says, USA! I'm just like, brother, what are we doing? I mean, Michaels is American.
Yes.
So Michaels could take that as a motivation for himself.
Right.
I didn't really understand the point of that.
A lot of stalling in the beginning. And guess what happened, Bob?
What?
Guess what the crowd started to do again?
I call him gay.
They sure do.
Yeah.
They sure do.
Of course they do. Duggan runs over Michaels with a series of clotheslines, and then Michaels bails to the floor to regroup. Michaels tries to grab the 2x4, but it's prevented from getting possession of it by the referee and Duggan himself. Duggan works over Michaels with the right hands and then drops Michaels to the mat. Michaels falls through the ropes to the floor. And then at this point, Bobby Heenan's on commentary, and he claims that the comments that he made last week about Duggan were just jokes. I was just teasing him. Like, I didn't mean that. It was
come on, Vince. Come on, I didn't mean that.
Don't. And then McMahon's like, I'll go tell him. No. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Just cracking me up. That
awesome.
Fucking Bobby Heenan.
Awesome.
Duggan follows Michaels to the floor and then carries the champion back to the ring as if he's like a child.
Yeah, but it looked like he struggled. Duggan looked like he struggled when he hoisted Shawn up and had to carry him back.
I mean, Michaels is probably, 240?
Oh, and Michaels is a sandbag in Jim Duggan.
Oh, probably.
He is.
I don't think he would want to be made out to look like he's a child, or like a crybaby being brought to the... Have you gotten the vibe from Michaels that he is like a crybaby? Because I certainly haven't.
Not yet.
Okay.
No.
He comes across like a cocky, I can beat you, not like a thing.
Like I don't care about you, really. I don't really care about this.
Yeah, like not like a temper tantrum.
It's mine, but I don't care. I didn't like how much Shawn was overselling. He was falling out of the ring after every single
move. I think when he
first
first bails to the ring, he doesn't do like a face plant or anything, but he kind of wobbles around.
Yeah, he flops. it was really because I was looking forward to this match. Oddly enough, a Jim Duggan Shawn
I
Michaels
know.
match.
I never would have thought that.
But the way Shawn was doing this shit here was really taking me out of it.
Here, you know what? But he tends to do that in matches like he doesn't want to be in or he doesn't want to lose or something. It's just like, come on, be more mature than that.
I know. And I picked up on that immediately.
Yeah. So as he's being carried to the ring, we go to commercial after he gets brought into the ring. Michaels is on the apron when we return, and he drops Duggan throat first over the top rope to get his first momentum of the match, and follows up with right hands. Michaels continues to work over Duggan with some knee drops. And then Duggan is kind of, I guess, maybe chasing after Michaels. I don't know if that's how you want to word it. But, like, wildly throwing punches that aren't even close. He's clearly pulling back on him anyway.
Yeah.
So it just didn't really seem to make much sense. But they aren't, as I mentioned, aren't even close. And Michaels eye rakes him to maintain control. Michaels heads to the top rope and then drops Duggan with a double axe handle and chokes Duggan some more. Michaels avoids Duggan in the corner by getting his boots up and delivers a series of elbow drops for a near fall. And then Shawn keeps control of Duggan with a knee lift to the midsection, and Michaels dumps Duggan through the middle rope to the floor. Michaels comes off the apron and drops Duggan with another axe handle. And then Michaels continues to beat on Duggan in the corner. Heenan suggests that Michaels use a stun gun to keep Duggan on the mat right on the lip.
Yeah, he says shoot him in the lip. It's like, what?
His hatred for Duggan is
oh my
is
God.
So
it's unwarranted.
Yeah. Duggan makes his comeback at this point, and he delivers 10 punches in the corner, and Michaels staggers around the ring. Duggan catches Michaels coming off the ropes with a power slam. Hacksaw goes for a running clothesline and knocks Michaels to the floor. At this point, Michaels decides to bail from the match and heads backstage. Duggan stops the champion again with right hands on the floor. Duggan clotheslines, and I don't even know if clothesline is the right word. He just borderline maybe, at least it looked like he murdered Shawn.
He fucking levels him.
Levels him. There you go. That's much better.
He gets leveled over the guardrail.
Just levels Michaels with the clothesline over the guard railing into the crowd. And the crowd's like, oh shit, yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
So of course when you get the crowd like really invested into it, Duggan rolls back into the ring and wins by countout.
Yeah, so you kill him immediately. They're at their hottest, just kill him after that.
Yeah, no reason to continue on with a hot crowd and a match they're totally invested in. Just cut their legs out. Good stuff. Right. After the match, Jim Duggan thinks that WWF got this wrong. There isn't any way he could beat a guy so much and then he just runs away. He wants another piece of Shawn Michaels. And then Duggan proceeds to toss chairs into the ring. And then he gets into the ring. Well, one of them actually doesn't even get in the ring. It almost hits him in the face. But Duggan gets into the ring, sits down in a chair, and he's going on strike until he gets a rematch with Shawn Michaels. It seems like a pretty rushed angle.
Yeah, and I even feel like the crowd was pretty confused on what was going on. Like, why is Duggan...
When he was like tossing chairs and stuff, they were just kind of like, what are you doing, Duggan?
Yeah, why is he getting so fucking insane right now?
Yeah, like there's not really any personal feud between
exactly.
These two. It's completely out of nowhere.
It's kind of overreacting.
Yeah. Despite all that stuff, I kind of enjoyed the match. It felt, despite not having really any backstory to it, it felt like a big match just based on Michael's promo work prior.
Yes.
So I was definitely like invested into it, which felt really weird for me at least. And I mean, I wouldn't mind, I guess, seeing these guys again. I just don't know. My mind still hasn't wrapped around the fact that a 1993 feud, I guess, with Duggan and Shawn Michaels is something I would want to see.
Yeah, and it's so funny because even the pacing of this match was pretty good. Yeah. Like, Duggan didn't falter very much at all. I mean, there was points where you could see, again, a match like this is 1980s versus 1990s. It shone through, but not very much at all, which is a credit to Duggan completely. With that said, I didn't like the finish. Let them go into the crowd. Let them get a double count out if you're not going to do a finish. Yep. Double count out, brawl into the crowd. Easy. Yep. Easy. But yeah, you know what, Bob? I think I'm right there with you as far as I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch. I don't know if I'm coming around to Duggan a little bit here, or maybe it's the Doink illusion. Maybe I'm getting kerfluffled. He's in my head. But I'm starting to maybe enjoy some Duggan here in 1993.
For me, Duggan is a weird wrestler just because I feel like growing up in like the mid '90s here, I never really had a liking or a disliking for Jim Duggan. I guess he was just kind of there,
Right.
and whether it be '93 or 1987 or 1989 or whatever the case, I feel like whether it's comedic value or just in-ring skill, I tend to enjoy Jim Duggan. And I don't know. I mean, it's a weird thing. I don't understand. Even later on, even after 93, he consistently gets biggest pops of the fucking show.
Well, and he's one of them guys where if you see your favorite star facing off Jim Duggan, you can probably count on that match being decent, at least.
Which blows my mind. I maybe there'll be people that disagree, but is it insane to maybe say that Jim Duggan's underappreciated or underrated even? As a performer?
I wouldn't say underrated. I would say underappreciated because I think people know that, again, Duggan's a legend, obviously. Yeah. He's been around forever. He's got complete respect from, I think, most fans. But at the same time, I think a lot of fans tend to forget how much Jim Duggan actually did for WWF and a lot of their favorite stars.
Yeah.
Because he played a hand in a lot of guys. And usually Jim Duggan wasn't the guy coming out on top at the end of it. I mean, look at with Yokozuna. Yokozuna owes a lot to Jim Duggan. And it's funny to think that, but really, that kind of squash did a lot for Yoko.
That's the first... It wasn't even a squash. Because Duggan won.
Well, right, but...
The knockdown. But he got beat to shit for it, but...
Right. For him to decimate Jim Duggan is a big deal.
The first star, I would say, that Yokozuna really, truly demolished. Because, I mean, he did demolish Virgil in 92 or whatever, but Virgil's not really a star.
Exactly.
At least at that point anymore, so...
Yeah, I don't know. I give Duggan a lot of credit here for keeping up with Michaels, even though I'm sure Michaels was giving him probably a hard time. And...
Well, you can just tell by the selling that maybe there wasn't a match he wanted to be involved in. But I don't even know why. Because, I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a pretty solid match. So.
Well, it's Shawn being Shawn.
Yeah, I guess you're right with that. So coming out of that segment, Jim Duggan has remained in the ring. And then we go to the commentary table and they talk about the King of the Ring pay-per-view, which then brings us to the King of the Ring report with Mean Gene. And, before we get into the report, though, he mentions Ico Pro or whatever. And here's a promo, essentially, from Crush, who's like, you gotta want it, brother.
Yeah, it's very cheesy. Yeah. And it's Crush. I think he's like curling a dumbbell or something. And he goes, brother, you gotta want it. And then it just goes off.
Yeah.
Oh my
just
God.
Oddly placed promos at this point for Ico Pro.
Very.
Gene runs down the King of the Ring tournament as Bret Hart and Lex Luger are the only two guys officially in the tournament. Mr. Perfect and Doink will be having a rematch to enter the tournament. I believe also on Superstars again. And then WWF World Champion Hulk Hogan will be defending against Yokozuna at the pay-per-view. And then Gene receives word that Jim Duggan is leaving the ring. I guess Duggan has called Jack Tunney.
Yes.
So he's looking to get an answer. So we'll likely get an answer
tonight
about that phone call later on in the evening. And then Gene makes a point here to say that this weekend on the syndicated shows that Razor Ramon will be taking on Tito Santana on Superstars in a qualifying match for the King of the Ring tournament. And also Jim Duggan will be in singles action against Papa Shango on Wrestling Challenge in another qualifying match.
Again, more interesting picks here. Razor Ramon and Tito, which on paper, that sounds like it's going to be a decent match.
Yeah.
I don't know. Tito
in 93, though?
Tito's still got a motor, for sure. He still can go.
I mean, I guess he kind of did.
Last time we saw him on Raw, I was like, holy shit. Yeah. Tito Santana. On the flip side of that, Papa Shango and Hacksaw, what do you do with that?
Okay, so just right out of the bat here, I think it's pretty clear that Razor Ramon would win that qualifier.
Absolutely.
Yes. There's no doubt.
Absolutely.
And then there maybe would be a doubt in the Duggan Shango thing.
I have doubt.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
What with him and Michaels and what he's been doing? Duggan's gonna roll over on Papa Shango. He's gonna kill him.
Yeah, but they've been
quick
pushing Shango like a monster on Raw
against job guys.
Still,
no way. No, I think it's so abundantly clear that Duggan would just steamroll over Shango like it's nothing.
I hope that doesn't happen.
You really think that Shango would be maybe the favorite in that? All things considered, like Duggan with Yokozuna and all that bullshit?
No, but I don't know if necessarily you do a clean finish on him.
Oh, I would pin him right in the middle. I mean, I like the Shango character, but I think by
Yeah.
this point in time, he's pretty much over with.
Well, then they need to stop pushing his ass over on Raw.
I think Shango and Tito are both two guys that hey, it's over.
Tito for sure. I would argue that Shawn goes like a screwed finish.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I have to think Duggan. I mean, I haven't seen that match ever, to be honest with you, so I don't really know how it plays out.
We'll see. At fucking 12:25 a.m.
I'm gonna fucking do it, too.
You are gonna do it. I know you're gonna do it.
Just to piss you off.
I know.
We go to match number 2 of the evening, and it's Doink the Clown taking on the Kamikaze Kid. And the Kamikaze Kid is the Lightning Kid. So this is, I believe, his debut, right? This is the first time we've seen him.
Yeah, and I wasn't expecting it. So we come back to the arena, and it's showing Doink, so we don't even see the ring. And Doink's coming out, and he's got a fake tongue in his mouth.
Yeah, I have, yeah.
And it looks real. I was like, holy shit, his tongue is big. And then he starts squirting water out of the bottom, and I was like,
You thought that was a real tongue?
Yes.
No. Get the fuck out of
I
here.
did.
What?
I did. I was like, oh my
No.
God, his tongue's huge.
No.
And then he started squirting the water out, and he took it out. And then I knew it was fake.
As soon as the camera went up to his, I'm like, why does he have a fake tongue in his mouth?
Dude, I thought it was real.
It was like way too red.
Oh, it was very red.
It was very red.
Maybe
And then
they painted it.
maybe he had like fruit roll-ups or something before
Well,
he got him going.
There you go.
Unbelievable.
So yeah, we get back in the ring. So Lightning, well,
the Kamikaze Kid.
the Kamikaze Kid's in the ring. Oddly enough, tight still L Kid on the
Right.
back.
And
It's
I
like-
should point out, like in the observer notes there, that the crowd popped, I guess, for Kamikaze Kid
Oh,
when
okay.
he originally came out because he had the Lightning Kid gear on.
Yeah.
And they are hardcore fans, so they
Right.
know who he is.
Right.
So I thought I should have mentioned that before, but that kind of intriguing to know that the New York fans knew who he was.
I believe it. And you know what? Just seeing like Kid standing there in the ring, despite his size, he feels like a guy who belongs. This guy belongs on Raw. I thought. Right from there. Just from seeing him. His gear was looking good. Being a smaller guy, still in pretty damn good shape.
Yeah.
He's got the look. Like, you know, the baby face, like cool
Oh,
guy
100%. 100% like underdog babyface look.
Completely.
Yeah, 100%.
Completely. So this guy, if you told me, you know, he didn't have a WWF contract, my mind would have been blown. Like, why? How doesn't he?
He just screams a guy that would immediately get sympathy.
Exactly.
You know, you could rally behind him for
Exactly.
sure.
It's the Mikey Whipwreck effect.
Yeah,
That's what I get.
This is even before Mikey Whipper.
Well, right. But when I think of it, it's like, okay, there's no way he's going to win. But, like, maybe he does have a shot.
Yeah,
Maybe his heart will keep him in this.
Right. Like he'll try real hard.
Yes.
And unlike Jim Duggan, he'll show up and still try real hard.
Oh, God.
The match starts off with Doink going right after the Kid with a right hand in the corner and Rams Kid in the corner to maintain control. And then Doink just takes him over with a belly-to-belly suplex. Kind of the rare instances here of Doink showing off his wrestling ability. Considering he's been working with bigger guys, so he isn't really able to toss him around or anything. Doink clotheslines Kid and then locks in an STF, but can't get a submission. And then Doink drops Kid with an elbow strike, followed by a few elbow drops. And then Doink just goes right into the stump puller and wins by submission. But Doink like fell over as he was performing the move. So the referee kind of looked like he was confused. And then Kamikaze Kid there was like tapping out like quite a bit. And the referee was like, ring the bell. And they wouldn't ring the bell. So he's like, ring the freaking bell. And then they finally rang the bell.
Yeah. So the ref's calling for the bell for probably a good minute.
This is the same referee. Okay, that did the whole counting out thing.
Oh, last week.
Yeah, like it's not the same. I don't think he's a regular WWF referee. So I just want to point that.
Maybe he's a fill-in. You know,
He might be like a New York,
Right.
New York guy there.
So yes, the ref's calling for the bell again a good minute before they actually ring it.
Yeah.
And is it bad that I thought for sure the camera was gonna pan over, and it was gonna be because a second Doink was holding the timekeeper guy, so he couldn't ring the bell?
That would be good.
I thought for sure that they were gonna do that.
That would
for
be
sure.
awesome.
I thought for sure because it's like ring the bell and they're not, and so Doink's getting to hurt this guy even more.
Yeah.
And it's because the other Doink's wrestling the hammer away from the
Oh
timekeeper.
my god.
guy. I thought for sure that's what it was.
Never would have thought that.
Yeah.
That is a great idea if you're doing the illusion thing.
Exactly.
Oh, that's so good.
I thought for sure. And of course, no, it's just the timekeeper guy was either sleeping or fucking
He
not
didn't know-
paying attention.
The one thing I can only think of is that when Doink fell over, I mean, Kid's shoulders were down.
Right, so maybe he didn't want to... Right.
So my thing was maybe the guy that had the bell was like, well, he didn't pin him.
Exactly.
There was no count, so why am I ringing the bell? And he didn't realize that it's a submission.
Right, he's tapping out.
Yeah, so that's the only thing I could see.
I get it, but again, I thought for sure. I was like, okay, so that's what's going to happen.
That would have been such a great usage of that. 100%.
Yeah, but, you know, they redeemed themselves because, of course, we got another great expression shot from really the map zooming up at Doink's face as we faded to commercial break.
He's so good with those facial expressions. It's insane. And I don't think, I mean, it's obviously Bourne, but I don't think like guys like Steve Kern, like we don't see that from the other Doinks because no way can they match that.
Not even close. And you know what? Talk about underrated performers. Matt Bourne's top 10 on that list.
Well, I 100% agree with you. And probably the only reason why he's so underappreciated is because realistically his run here in the WWF is like 8 months.
Right, it's short.
Yeah.
It is.
So like no one fucking remembers.
Right.
And it's a shame.
I know.
Because it's a really good 8 months of just character.
Right.
I mean, he obviously is pretty good in the ring too, but from a character standpoint, it's great.
Well, and think of it this way too. He helped create a character that has stood the test of time. Doink, you can bring back anytime, and it still works because of the work that Matt Bourne put in. You can't bring back Max Moon. You can't bring back Bastion Booger. You can bring back Doink, and for all intents and purposes, Doink's a fucking clown. That says something about Matt Bourne.
They could totally kind of do like a modern version of this.
Easily.
Whether it be like an NXT or something.
Easily.
Just have like, maybe not such a cartoonish looking clown, but definitely a
yeah.
modern, more like
Easily.
evil looking clown guy.
And if they took inspiration from Matt Bourne, it would still 100% work every single day.
Oh, yeah.
Every day.
I can just see it now, like a creepy sounding circus or something.
Yeah.
You know, and like a bicycle thing or whatever.
Easily. Easily.
Yeah, I agree. Coming out of that, I thought it was a pretty good squash match too.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did too. I did too.
Kid made him look really good. I mean, he got nothing in the Kamikaze Kid, but.
No, but there's a difference when a guy like this is your enhancement talent and a guy like Joe fucking Schmo is your enhancement talent. You know what I mean? You can tell.
Even in defeat, I think Kid looked good.
Absolutely.
Which is a weird thing to.
Absolutely.
Especially, well, I mean, like Scott Taylor looks good too.
Yes, he does.
He
does. He does.
Coming out of this, we go to a WWF Mania ad, the same old one. Hey, make sure you brush your teeth.
I
10
wish they'd
a.m.
stop fucking showing that.
I have a feeling it's going to be there for a while.
Yeah, I know.
Coming out of that ad, we go to our third match on the evening, and it's Bob Backlund taking on Dwayne Gill, who would go on to be known as Gilbert. I don't think I've mentioned that yet.
Dwayne Gill's an ugly motherfucker.
Not as ugly as what's his name? Who was the one guy?
He's like the redneck guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that redneck guy.
A couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bother looking back at it, but
I can't remember his name.
He was just awful. It's not like Sharp or something.
No. And it's not L.A. Gore.
No.
It's a different guy.
Fuck, that's going to bother me so much now. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. It's announced I guess before the match, kind of, or in the beginning. It's announced that Duggan and Michaels will in fact fight next week. But it's not going to be just any ordinary match. No, it will be a lumberjack match. So if you don't know the rules of lumberjack matches, that there will be several men around the ring. So if anybody gets thrown out, they'll either get beat up or they'll get rolled back into the ring.
Yeah, and you know what? I was interested to see what talents they end up using for that because I thought that was an interesting way to do it. So Michaels, I guess, can't run away.
That would be the premise of it.
Yeah. Going back to Dwayne Gill, he got a "Go Dwayne Go" chant.
Did he?
From the crowd. Yes, he did. But yeah, as far as Michaels and Duggan for that match, I'm interested.
I don't know. I feel like I was kind of expecting a bigger stipulation than a lumberjack.
You know what I was hoping for?
Cage?
Yes.
That's what I was doing.
Yes.
Seeing Doug maybe just toss him into the cage a few times. On Raw. Yeah.
That would have been awesome.
Probably would have been hard to get that cage though into the Manhattan.
Not only that, maybe it's too big for them. You know, do they really,
yeah, I mean, it hasn't probably built up to that level.
But that would have been awesome.
Yeah. That's what I ideally would have wanted. But lumberjack match,
I'll take it.
Is a cheaper manner and kind of serves the same purpose. It's like a human cage, I guess.
Yeah.
As for the match here, Backlund isn't really holding my interest when it comes to Gil, or really any other enhancement match with him since the Royal Rumble. It's a slow, plodding match. The style that Backlund's working here just doesn't really translate well for me. It was different with Luger because you wouldn't really, I guess, anticipate Luger to be competing with that or
doing
selling
that
like that.
doing that style of wrestling. And again, another negative that's working against Backlund is when he's doing like the whoa Popeye noises.
Yeah, was he a bushwhacker?
It's horrible. It's horrible.
Backlund backdrops Gil after putting him on the top turnbuckle and then wins the match with his trademark bridging roll up. Sorry, Bob, this just ain't working. I'm pretty much breaking up with him at this point. It's not you, it's me.
Let me talk to you about this finish right here. This one specifically.
Okay.
First of all, going into it was very clumsy. He like clumsily got Dwayne on the top rope. It looked very awkward. And then going into like the bridge, Backlund literally stops, looks right into the hard camera, gives a double thumbs up as to say, this job guy ain't kicking out, and then pins him after a back body drop. What a fucking joke. What a fucking joke. Finish was horrible. You know, the action was pretty stale. Dwayne Gill was getting some good shit in over Bob Backlund, which I was surprised. And again, he did get a very small chant in the beginning of the match. All things considered, Bob Backlund should not be on Raw moving forward. Just stop. That's enough.
Keep him on Wrestling Channel.
He had his little run after the Rumble. You know, he had his little WrestleMania match. Just be done with it. I'm done.
It's just amazing to me that 4 months ago at the Royal Rumble, I was at, yo, give me Backlund and Brat right now. Yeah, I'm sold. And then it just gradually went, maybe not. I don't think so. I mean, the match with Luger was pretty solid for 3 minutes.
The Superstars or the
Wrestling Challenge.
The Wrestling Challenge. This isn't what that was. No. For sure.
Yeah. Coming out of that, we got a Tatanka Ico Pro ad.
Looking friggin' juiced, dude. He's so juiced.
He probably took a cup. It's like a powder, right?
No, I think it's like a capsule.
It might be both.
It's like a supplement.
It's definitely
you know what? Yeah, because remember they show the big tubs.
Yes, yeah.
So you can get like the protein powder or the little things of the pill, I think.
Yeah. I think he was taking a couple extra scoops.
Double. Oh, yeah. He doubled the shots, for sure.
We go back to the arena, and Jim Duggan makes his way out to the ringside area to be interviewed by Vince McMahon. Quite a bit of Jim Duggan so far on this episode.
Yes.
McMahon mentions that Duggan's wish has come true. And Duggan talked to Jack Tunney on the phone and says that it wasn't fair or right that Michaels just ran away. Michaels can run, but he can't hide. Tunney told him that the Lumberjack match next week is in fact for the title. And then Duggan says that Michaels is pretty and wrestles well, but he can't fight worth a lick. And McMahon hypes up the dangers of a Lumberjack match. And then Duggan says his mind is on one thing, and that's the title.
Yes. I like that Vince put it over like the danger of a Lumberjack match. Like you never know who's out there to hurt you and who's out there to help you. I like that. Yeah. I also liked that the line, Shawn is pretty and wrestles well, but can't fight a lick. Because historically, that seems to be the case in the backstage area.
That is true.
Yeah. So maybe there's a little...
He's like a cocky son of a bitch, but as soon as you step up to him, it's like, oh, I don't know what to do.
So maybe Duggan's got a little truth behind his words there. I don't know. It seems like Vince here was having a genuinely good time talking to Hacksaw. And I think historically, he's one of those guys that Vince has always had kind of a soft spot for.
I would say so.
Yeah, he loves his blue-collar heroes.
Yep. And
Duggan is the epitome of
He's
that.
like for the people.
Yes.
Like I am one of you.
Yeah, he's like a working man's man.
Yeah.
You know, and again, Duggan is the poster boy for that. So it's just nice to kind of see Vince sitting back and being a fan a little bit as he's kind of on screen with Duggan here. And again, the fact that I'm caring about Duggan in 1993 is pretty astonishing.
I'm on the same page with you, and I feel like a lot has happened with Duggan on the show. So he beats the shit out of Michaels.
Yes,
looks pretty good.
Yes,
sits down, and has a strike.
Yes,
for about 3 minutes,
Yep.
and then has a phone conversation with the WWF president, Jack Tunney, to get a match. Has another promo. And then it's a lumberjack match with Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
It's a lot of it's almost like a renewed push for Jim Duggan.
And you know what? Here's the thing. I'm not sick of seeing him.
I mean, with the second promo right here, I was maybe we can chill out on
this episode.
In the last 2 weeks, we've
gotten a lot of Duggan.
Yeah,
a lot. But with this episode alone, so not counting last week, I wasn't sick of seeing Duggan yet. And most guys, I'm sick of seeing after about 2 minutes.
Well, because with when Rick Martel was always coming out.
So sick of Rick Martel coming.
But I enjoyed when Lawler did it. Like Lawler was entertaining.
Yes.
So it's like a hit or miss thing. I wasn't like, fuck, I'm gonna turn the channel. Jim Duggan's out again. But it's just like, this is a lot. Like this could something.
Like you get it.
Yeah. This is something that could have been on commentary mentioning.
Yeah.
Coming out of that, we go to a Smoking Guns vignette.
Here we go.
Talking about how they've heard nothing but trouble from the likes of the Headshrinkers, Money Incorporated, and the Beverly Brothers. And they are coming to the WWF looking for tag team excitement. Those teams will go down. And this is the episode when they do like the shooting blanks and guns and shit.
Yes. So, okay. We saw more close-ups, and basically the vignette opens with them cleaning their pistols. No joke. Not their wieners, their pistols. This one had a much more serious tone. Again, like Bob said, they were listing tag teams simultaneously, so they'd list a tag team, and then they'd shoot a bottle, or they'd shoot a can, as to insinuate they're coming to pretty much shoot everybody down. Again, I think this one was not as homoerotic as the last one was. So that was nice. I would have had this their debut vignette.
This was definitely a better usage of it because there's actually mentions of wrestling in it.
Yes.
So you actually know the wrestlers.
Yes.
And their intent is to go after the heels.
Yes.
The other one was just like, oh hey, we're cowboys and we're coming.
They're gay cowboys.
Right, as you mentioned, the Brokeback Mountain.
Yes. No, dude, I would have switched it around. You know what? I would have scrapped the last vignette from last week. Just use this one as a debut vignette. And go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought it was kind of funny that they mentioned the Beverly Brothers. I mean, they're not really a worthwhile tag team, but I guess they don't really have any other heel tag teams at this point.
Right.
To even really focus on anything.
Yeah.
We go back to the arena, and Captain Lou Albano makes his return to the WWF and is greeted with a decent ovation. I don't really care about Lou Albano.
He looked like he
Albano,
weighed...
How do you want to pronounce it?
He looked like he weighed 150 pounds.
He looks smaller than usual.
Very small, like I would even argue sickly looking.
Really?
Yeah, it is.
I wonder if he was sick.
Because he's got his tracksuit on, as opposed to like a Hawaiian shirt, like a big burly guy. Not this Lou Albano. This is tracksuit, like small, kind of shriveled up Lou Albano. So I was a little sketched out about that. Not the typical one you expect to see. I've never been a fan of his. As a manager or as a TV personality, like I just not...
I think he's just really before my era.
I'm sure I don't get it. Yeah, I'm sure I don't get it.
I don't think there's a connection there.
And
I think having this show in front of hardcore fans, that's why he gets a better reaction than normal.
Sure.
I would just assume.
Right.
That leads us to our fourth match of the evening, and it's the Headshrinkers, Fatu and Samu, against Jay Sledge and Jim Bell.
I didn't even get their names, so I'm glad you did.
Yeah. The Headshrinkers and Afa don't seem to be very happy about the appearance of Albano. Or Albano. I think it's Albano, but I'll just say Albano. Just how I say Poughkeepsie instead of Poughkeepsie. That's okay. Fatu and Samu quickly go on the attack and drop Sledge to the mat gut first after lifting him into the air. Samu continues to beat on Sledge with a clothesline and gut wrench slam, and then Fatu scoop slams Sledge on the floor while the referee's distracted.
Yeah, so during this time, Lou basically joined commentary, and he was joking with Vince that he was on Ico Pro, explaining his newly found physique and feeling better than ever, and that it was an honor to be back in the major leagues of professional wrestling. I think that was a pretty sorry way for him to explain why he looks like he lost 200 pounds, but nonetheless, they do address that.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of hard to avoid it, probably.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That'd be like Yokozuna coming out.
And he's like...
Looking like Lightning
250.
Kid.
Yeah. Lou kept talking without taking a breath, so I just tuned him out. Like, he literally didn't breathe for a good minute straight.
I totally was not paying attention to anything on commentary because
you can't.
He was using not even a headset, like a regular microphone or something, and then you couldn't really hear Bobby Heenan anyway or something. So it's just like
it was like a weird audio
mix up or something.
Yeah.
I didn't care about it.
Right.
I did catch though that Vince McMahon announced that Yokozuna will be one of the Lumberjacks next week on Raw.
Yep.
So that's something I can totally get behind.
Yes.
Because you know there's going to be something with him and Duggan.
Yes.
That history there.
Yes.
Samu delivers a Savant kick to continue the offense here by the Head Shrinkers. Bell tags in and is met with a Savant kick from Fatu. Samu delivers a spike power driver with the help of Fatu on Bell, which looked
fucking devastating.
Pretty dangerous.
And Fatu, just literally seconds before that, so one guy gets tagged in, and Fatu kicks him right in the jaw.
Yeah.
And this is before the guy gets a pile driver, and I thought the guy was knocked out right there.
You know, I feel like Fatu's Savant kick or super kick is better than Michael's.
For sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
He just destroys. It looks like he just breaks.
It's more believable.
Yeah, like he just breaks her face.
Yes.
Because he like whips it. Sean's more like deliberate with it.
Yeah.
It seems like. Fatu's is like.
Yeah, here it is.
You don't see it coming.
Yeah.
Albano is yelling at the Head Shrinkers and wanting them to follow the rules.
Yeah, he's like speaking gibberish, and this is his quote unquote way to communicate with them.
And like Vince was like, "Well, what are you talking about? Or what are you saying, or something?" He's like, "Oh, I'm trying to tell him to follow the rules, you know, and give the guy a chance."
I'd like to know if anybody actually believed this BS of him like talking Samoan
No way.
to, you know, the fucking Head Shrinkers from the commentary table.
I can't imagine that they would ever think that.
No.
The Head Shrinkers deliver a reverse Russian leg sweep, so that means the opponent would fall face first instead of back first.
Yes.
And then Fatu wins the match for his team following a top rope splash onto Bell. Needless to say, I'm liking the Head Shrinkers.
I'll tell you what, they looked fucking dominant.
Yeah.
And polished. And just a very strong showing here from the Head Shrinkers. Again, this is one of these matches, guys, where you sit down, you mute the fucking audio, and you watch the action in the ring. And it's like, how do people forget about how good the Head Shrinkers were?
You know, and they've been presented very strongly. I mean, their only loss that I'm aware of is against the Steiner brothers, and it's not like that was some joke match at WrestleMania. I mean, that's probably one of the best matches on the show. Super competitive.
Yeah.
So that's a loss that doesn't hurt them at all.
That was a standout match at WrestleMania.
Yeah. So they've been kept very strong.
And the whole thing is, you can push guys to be, you know, big monsters who are like, oh, scary guys, and they win matches. The Head Shrinkers are wrestlers, and they have good matches. They execute things well. The shit looks believable. They're working pretty damn stiff. Some of these slams and stuff that they were doing to these guys probably hurt like a son of a bitch. And I'm sure they were doing that on purpose to kind of break them in a little bit. But that makes for a great showing for your team. Credits the business as a fucking Impact sport. And I'm throwing it on a line right now. The Head Shrinkers are my favorite tag team right now. I'm putting them over the Steiner brothers right now. I think they're delivering and then some, singles or otherwise.
Well, I would say the Head Shrinkers and Steiners are definitely my 1-2.
For sure.
I just don't know who would be 1 and who would be 2.
Right now, coming off this show, man, for sure Head Shrinkers. For me.
I mean, so let's look at the teams right now. Is you have the Head Shrinkers, Steiners, Money Incorporated, obviously.
Yep, Beverly's, Nasties, High Energy. It's a lower level team.
I don't even know if Owen's hurt.
Owen's out, right.
The Smoking Guns are coming in.
Smoking Guns.
But, I mean, it's still a relatively weak group of guys.
It's a shallow pond.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shallow pond.
Once you get through, I guess, the Steiners,
right,
Shrinkers, and Money Inc. to it.
There's really not much there.
Yeah, it kind of falls off a cliff a little bit.
Right.
But luckily, the Smoking Guns are coming in, and there's other tag teams on the way.
Yes.
So they kind of beef it up in the coming months here. After the match, Jim Bell, the enhancement guy there, gets his gear like torn apart.
Yes.
Like they're just ravage animals about to eat him or something. It was just interesting sight. And then we go to footage of the Bushwhackers fixing a ceiling with Lord Alfred Hayes in a clip from Smack 'em Whack 'em, a
Yes.
Coliseum video release.
Yes. Yeah, they're like fixing pipes in the ceiling. One bursts and gets Lord Hayes like soaking wet.
Yeah.
Just very childish. Right before this, we get so as the match is ending, Bobby basically challenged Lou to meet him out back following the show so he could beat him up. So those two were just going back and forth the whole time. And if there's anything, no, I don't even say maybe halfway redeemable, it's the fact that the last 2 weeks, Bobby Heenan's been challenging almost everybody to a fucking fist fight. So there's that.
Well, just even thinking of what he was doing to Duggan
Oh my god.
is still making me laugh.
dude,
just even thinking about it.
It's so funny.
It was so good. Coming out of that, we go to our main event. Again, I guess you could call it the main event, the final match. It's certainly not the feature match. And it is Kamala taking on Rich Myers.
Oh, I didn't even get his last name. I just had Rich ...
Rich whatever.
Yeah.
It's mentioned during this match that Mr. Perfect will also be a lumberjack
Yep.
next week for the Duggan-Michaels showdown. So now my interest, I feel like, is really peaked.
Yes.
Because you have Yokozuna, his issues with Duggan, and now Mr. Perfect and Shawn Michaels, they just went down. Who knows what the hell fuck will happen?
Yeah, they're working major angles into this match.
Well, that's exactly what you should do. You should have the guys around. There shouldn't be just Dwayne Gill
Right.
and,
No.
L.A. Gore or something.
Exactly.
Around, right? Like, have meaningful guys in the back, so who knows? It could be a commotion, mayhem. You never
Yeah.
know. Kamala knocks down Myers a few times and then lifts him up by his neck before dropping him down to the mat. It is noted that Slick isn't at ringside with Kamala.
Yes.
Apparently, Slick feels like as if Kamala doesn't need him anymore.
Which, I mean, I don't know about that. Speaking of not needing a guy anymore, this Rich guy, man, oh my god. First of all, his long tights looked looser than hell. So I don't know whose tights he borrowed because they can't be his. Not only that, but his selling is basically him rolling around and convulsing all over the mat. It was fucking embarrassing.
You know, I wish I could tell you I noticed any of that, but I really don't care about Kamala. So my attention,
Listen,
my attention span for this match just wasn't there to be focusing on various things like you have.
Well, you were probably happy because this enhancement guy was making Kamala look like a horse's ass by the way he was selling all his moves. I don't know.
I mean, for what I was seeing, I mean, I'm kind of glad that Slick isn't there anymore.
Thank God.
Because when I was like, I mean, I at one point here I was paying attention. And Kamala, if you kind of take away Slick and that ridiculous part of him, I mean, you can definitely see him as a serious contender or something.
You can consider it. Yes.
Yeah, potentially here.
You can consider it. Otherwise, with Slick, it's a comedy gimmick. Fucking hate it.
Right. So I say that, right? And Kamala drives Myers with a savant kick and then delivers a splash. But he doesn't know how to pin Myers still.
Come on.
He's rolling him around. He's like, oh, do I grab the foot?
my
What do I do? And I was
God.
telling him, this is like, guys, we got to be able to move on from that.
Come on.
Yeah, it's just...
Stupid.
For a second,
Stupid.
I'm like, oh, maybe Kamala's okay now. Maybe he'll figure it out. And no.
Stupid.
Still got to have him, not understand things.
Yeah, so needless to say, he rolls the guy over and finally gets the pin to win.
Yeah.
Then they immediately cut away from Kamala to some woman eating an ice cream bar in the crowd.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It should have been the same girl that got proposed to.
That would have been good.
Yeah.
That would have been good. But no, it's just some random lady eating a WWF ice cream bar.
Which they have not brought back.
Yeah.
Still.
So, okay. That match meant nothing.
Well, yeah, it's
Yeah.
really. I mean, Kamala doesn't have anything going on.
No.
No. He's finished with kimchi, essentially. So,
Right.
what do you do with fucking Kamala? It's mentioned next week that Bam Bam Bigelow will be taking on Typhoon in a King of the Ring qualifying match, along with a Lumberjack match next week. Wasn't Bigelow and Typhoon supposed to wrestle before on Raw? Like that didn't happen or something?
I want to say yes.
I know Typhoon's had a match. Like it was supposed to be Typhoon against somebody, like in Poughkeepsie.
Yeah.
Or Poughkeepsie. And it didn't happen because of
Maybe
the
it
snowstorm.
was.
I
Yeah,
think
maybe
it was Bigelow.
Bam Bam.
So
Yeah.
that's a dream match that we've been waiting for a few
Right.
weeks now. Can't
Right.
wait for that showdown. We got a WWF figures ad, and finally,
No.
there's no British Bulldog.
It's a new figures line.
Oh, it's a new one?
Oh, it's completely
Is that
new.
why there's no Bulldog?
Yeah.
Then? Oh.
Yeah, so these toys include Hogan, Virgil, IRS, Savage, and oddly enough, Rick Martel is in the line.
Wait a minute. So what was the other one? Was like Piper.
It was Piper.
Right? Piper, Savage,
Bulldog,
Slaughter,
Hogan.
Taker, maybe? No.
I don't know if Taker was in it. But this is, you can even tell because it's totally reshot.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I didn't know if it was a new one, but I just know it was a Bulldog.
Yeah, but how funny is Rick Martel to be added? Oh, you know what? Mr. Perfect, I think, was a toy in the last line.
Yes, I think you're right.
Yeah.
The only reason, I mean, I remember these figures, Ed, not necessarily from this, but from like when I would get the Coliseum videos releases.
Yeah.
They're in those ones too.
Oh, I'm sure.
The same lines, the same everything. It's like, oh my God, I can't escape this.
Although, you know what? I bet you they sold pretty well.
The figures?
Yeah.
Oh, I would have to.
I bet you they did.
I remember having, again, like I had the Virgil.
Right.
Back in the day.
And I definitely have seen
and
that.
a Jake Roberts too.
Oh, I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
I've seen that little Savage around before.
Yeah.
Like with the white coat and the green
Yeah,
tassels.
the green tassels, yeah.
Yeah.
We go back to close out the show. We go backstage where Bobby Heenan interviews WWF Intercontinental Champion Shawn Michaels. Michaels can't recall someone being treated this poorly. He doesn't have Jack Tunney's phone number. He's worried about who Duggan might have. But Michaels himself, he has a few numbers that he can call that will have his back as well. He's got a couple of friends. Michaels Heenan wants to know, like, hey, man, what's your plan? And Michaels like, well, I can't tell you because then it'll ruin it. And then Heenan's just like, oh, I can solve that. He just puts the microphone behind his back. Yeah. And then Michaels like whispers to him some stuff going on. And Heenan's like, oh, what, really? And then he grabs the microphone. He's like, stay home, Duggan. Yeah. And that closes the show.
Yeah. I thought that was an effective little aside there.
Sure. I mean, it's like a last-minute thing. Gives Michaels the proper airtime like Duggan gets. Last-minute hype for next week's show. Heenan's hilarious.
Yeah, and
throughout the whole show.
Right, and if you're sitting home, you're like, oh my God, who's Shawn going to call?
Yeah, who's friends with Shawn Michaels?
And who's going to show up on Raw?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What numbers is he going to call?
Yeah, it's like a nice little surprise.
He doesn't have Jack Tunney's phone number?
Yeah. What?
Drama.
Yeah, what?
On the next General Hospital.
Jim Duggan does on his shitty phone? How's he got his number?
Did Tunney even hear what he said?
Right.
Like, Duggan could have been like, I want to be against Yokozuna at King of the Ring. Tunney could have been like, what? Yeah, sure, man. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, every other word.
Duggan would be like, I got a triple threat match now against Hogan and Yoko at King of the Ring.
Good Lord.
As for this week's episode, similar to last week's episode, I enjoyed this program. I mean, sure, there's a lot of Jim Duggan, but the TV feud with Shawn Michaels is progressing very well, and it still amazes me that I'm intrigued to see the Lumberjack match.
Yeah.
It just comes across very well on TV, and again, just continuing to next week gives me a reason to actually tune in.
Yes.
Not instead of not knowing what's going on, and plus, Bigelow Typhoon getting an actual King of the Ring qualifying match.
Right on Raw.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that. I mean, the Head Shrinker squash match was pretty good too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
overall, I mean, it's a pretty strong episode. The last two episodes for me, I've been liking them.
So yeah, kind of to mirror what you said. Following last week, again, I wasn't the biggest fan of last week's episode, but that kind of played into the ups and downs for me. So this, I would say, oddly enough, for a taped show,
right? I mean, I didn't
wasn't up.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know
I think
what I mean?
it's one of the first times a taped show.
It didn't feel like it.
Yeah.
Yes.
100%.
I agree.
And because it piggybacks off of the live show.
Yes.
Which is usually not what happens with the tape show.
Right.
So they continued on very well. I mean, that's a great point because I didn't even make a note. I mean, I know I noted that it was tape, but I never felt like, oh, the crowd's dead.
You could totally tell.
Yeah.
You could totally tell.
It was really, really good.
The Head Shrinkers, I thought, looked like stars. Doink versus Kid was pretty good stuff. I would say all the action, for the most part, on the show was enjoyable.
Aside from Backlund.
Especially after getting what seemed like very little action for me last week. This was a nice rebound show. Like, okay, let's focus back on the wrestling. We'll include some of the angles. And now everything's really starting to ramp up. I couldn't get over the fact that as much Jim Duggan as we've seen in the last 2 weeks, I was fine with it. I was like, whatever, it makes sense. I wasn't sick of seeing him. If they would have pushed it any further, I probably would have been like, oh, okay, that's enough.
Like if at the end
he like
Duggan was interviewed instead of Michaels,
or
like,
something like
okay.
that.
Yeah.
Or Duggan had like a squash match. Like, I'm like, okay.
Could you imagine if he has a match with Michaels and at the end, like, oh yeah, here's Rich Myers. You could fight him.
No.
It's like, what?
No. So, all things considered, for a tape show, I'm over the moon with it. I'm totally into it. Raw's starting to ramp up again, and it's felt like a long, cold winter since WrestleMania. And now the ice is starting to thaw. And we're starting to get into some summer festivities as the ground warms up.
You know, and the thing is they don't really have to... They don't even really need to develop any angles because you have to think about it. The King of the Ring, is this a tournament?
Yes.
You know, it's a pretty good... It's a great idea to bridge yourself from Mania to SummerSlam.
Yes.
So if we're doing this already getting to King of the Ring, I can't wait until King of the Ring is over with. And then when like July comes around, because then you're getting really into your SummerSlam build from there.
Feuds.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yes. And it's this helps me realize that that is right around the corner. And again, with WWF booking at this time, it seems like when it should be the strongest, like a couple weeks heading into the pay-per-view and a couple weeks after the pay-per-view, it's the weakest. It's the in-between that ends up being really, really good. And that's kind of where we're getting to again, is that in-between where it's kind of the sweet spot and they're really laying all their cards on the table.
Right.
And we're getting there.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if how many of these feuds are going to be like house show feuds, though. Like Big Tatanka, like that might be an idea just to get crowd, like
right.
have a feud for houses and stuff like that.
Right. And I could see that for sure. I could see that.
Not that I'm necessarily against that.
Right.
You know, I think you definitely have to play to your strengths, and house shows are certainly a big part of where they make their money. So.
Yeah, especially with being a little bit down, they got to kind of start recouping.
Yeah, you got to get a reason for people to come to the shows.
Yes.
You know, you can't be using the same feuds from January.
Exactly.
To come in May and June, for Christ's sake. So
exactly.
Got to freshen up a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, I'm super excited. Maybe not super excited, but I'm definitely intrigued to see next week's episode and how that plays out with Duggan and Michaels, which still blows my mind that I'm saying that, but.
Isn't it weird? It's so weird that you're expecting a Duggan-Michaels match to deliver on Raw after you've already seen basically a no finish. Like it was like a count out.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I'm anticipating an intense match.
Yeah.
Like maybe
a competitive match.
Duggan would win it because there's people around ringside, so
Raw.
Michaels can't escape.
That would be.
What if you have Duggan win the title and then have a rematch at King of the Ring?
That would be good.
But then again, I mean, Duggan's in the King of the Ring tournament qualifying, but
yeah, well,
what if Shawn go win with like Michaels doing something? I don't know.
Right? Yeah,
but that's on Wrestling Channel, so that was probably taped.
Well,
a month and a half ago. So
yeah,
who knows? Maybe Duggan loses by DQ using a 2x4.
Right.
You never know.
Right.
Maybe Papa Shango is in the tournament.
Right.
Well, I don't know.
I'm telling you, I kind of expect something weird to happen with that match. If it doesn't, great. But I don't know.
It would make sense. I mean, Duggan was like king before. I don't know. He didn't really win the King of the Ring or anything. But
right.
I remember he like beat Macho King or something.
Yeah.
Or King Harley Race or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And became King Duggan for a couple months there in the 80s. So.
Yeah, and don't forget, he was the first Royal Rumble winner.
Right. And then he skipped out on the Royal Rumble this year.
When you win the first one, Bob, you can skip the rest.
Yeah,
it's
but like this is the first Rumble where if you win it, you get a world title match. Like guaranteed WrestleMania.
Well,
he's just like, yeah, you know what? It's like the Nasty Boys. Hey, you want a tag team title match at WrestleMania? Sure. But here's Hogan and Beefcake. You know, they can take it.
No, I want a pat on the back, tough guy. I don't want the belt. I want a pat on the back, tough guy.
I just want a good job.
Yeah.
I don't think so. So you got anything else for this episode? Or are we wrapping it up and we're going to be excited for next week's episode?
I'm ready to go, and you know what? I'm quickly getting interested in the King of the Ring. I'm interested to see what the final, official tournament members are, because off the top of my head, I'll be honest with you, I can't think of them. And I don't know if I watched the 93 King of the Ring complete in one shot. Like, I'm sure I know I've seen matches from it.
Yeah.
But I've never sat down and watched it as a standalone show.
It's been a long time since I've watched it.
Yeah.
But
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see the qualifying matches, although maybe the ones that were mentioned here aren't the strongest or anything, but there's still like 8 more qualifying matches to have happen. Yeah. Plus the rematch with Perfect and Doink. So.
Well, right, and I was just going to say the qualifying matches we've seen thus far have been pretty good. So if that's any indication, hopefully the tournament itself is like kind of a hidden gem. Like maybe the matches will be pretty good.
Right.
You know, again, off the top of my head, I can't really think of any, but I'm sure I've seen some of the parts.
Well, what? So this is what, the 3rd of May. So we're about a month and a week or so away from
a couple weeks out still.
June 13th, I guess, is when the show is there. So we're still just over a month away.
Right.
From getting there, but we will get there soon enough.
Yeah.
As always, you can hit us up on Facebook, IcoPod. If you have an email or anything, you can drop us a line at icopodcast@gmail.com. For Oz and Skinner, I'm Bob Conley Jr., and you've been listening to IcoPod.
You gotta hear it.